Good day and welcome back to Talking Technical. And as always, let's look at some requests. And the first one immediately is transaction capital. Can you guys remember that a few weeks ago I mentioned that I will look at the share? And of course, one of my friends that put his money in there, it was his pension money, unfortunately passed away. So I thought I will look at the share again because it looks like the share is showing some signs of recovering. And what do we see? Look at this. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see there's definitely suddenly a spike in volume. I like that. My stochastic is a little bit high, but always remember with a tiny little share like transaction capital, sometimes the stochastic is not that relevant, but in this case it worked well. It was well oversold a while back. There was some volume, it ticked higher. Can you remember I said that we will buy every time that there is a higher low? And there was an old line that we watched, and that was this line, and I just want to draw it in. And that is the important line that actually told you that something is on the boil here. Can you see that this was the low and the share knocked out these lows? Of look at these hammer candles. There's that tiny little doji, another dragonfly, and then you saw this shaven top candle. Now this shaven top candle is quite important because an old man usually has a shaven head, and because it's not because he is young, it's because he's got wisdom and he's been through the mill many a time. And look what happened since then. It was first the resistance, then the share lifts its head above that. It came all the way up. It came back to test this line, and that's the important thing. As it tested it, it was a technical goodbye kiss, in this case a positive one, and since then the share slowly but surely is moving higher, and there's the volume, and that tells you that yes, on any pullback, if you haven't bought it yet, you can maybe look at it. I mean, yesterday was a strong move to the top. I mean, this is Monday, very strong move, but look at this 50-day moving average. It's starting to move above its 50-day moving average. That is positive. And although there's a lot of reports in the market saying this company can go under, things are wrong, things can go really bad, they can maybe come out of another rights issue, all different stories. This share price is telling me that something is improving here. Maybe the company is doing things right. Maybe the directors are doing things right. But for me, the big hurdle now is this gap. Look at this gap. This gap sits between 5 rand and 99 cents and of course 7 rand, 6 rand 90. So there's a massive gap there, almost a rand 40 gap, and we will have to see if that gap can close. If we go back, can you believe that this share in its heyday was a share well above 16 rand, but look, after the bad news came all these ugly sellings. But what's happening here is a classic, you can almost say a beautiful rounding bottom making its way. And what I like the most about it is all these higher lows. Look at the higher lows. I'm just going to zoom out for you. There's the higher lows. There's a low, there's a higher low, there's a higher low, there's a higher low. And if you use the same line and you draw that in, then you will say, Frans, but the trend is up. And there you are. You can see it clearly that the trend is up. And for me, the big thing is, can it now stay, first of all, above this 50-day moving average? Are we going to see a little bit of a pullback so that we can see another higher low? Or are we going to go straight on and close this gap? And there's this gap. I just want to draw it in so that you can see where I'm looking at it. There you are. There's the gap. And let's see if it can close this in time to come. But this volume is telling me a story, and maybe we can see a nice share developing here. And remember, this company fundamentally is involved in the taxi industry. And it's a massive industry and it's a difficult industry. But if you are successful in a difficult segment of the market and you can run it well, then you can make some good money. So let's see, maybe we cannot afford a taxi, maybe we cannot buy a taxi or even look at the taxi because sometimes we get cross the way they behave on the road, but maybe you can buy a few shares. But maybe I think it's a little bit late now. Wait for a pullback on a higher low and then you can maybe add on to it or even buy it in if you want to. Well, let's look at the next one. And that is, of course, the platinum price in dollar. And this is quite an interesting chart because South Africa is a commodity driven country. And if I look at it, remember this is a daily chart. Excuse me. The stochastic is starting to move downwards. There's a beautiful cross here that's telling you that the momentum is to the downside. But I'm looking at the following. For me, I looked at this and I was very excited about it a few days ago because I thought, well, at last this falling wedge has broken to the top and it's positive. But what happened? It rallied up. And if you can see that there was a tiny little candle. Let's just show you here. That little candle was a shooting star. And the shooting star was followed up with a confirmation of a bearish candle. And look at your upper shadows here. It's all showing that there's some profit taking around here. And now we're moving below the 50-day moving average. That's negative. And we're on the brink of actually going back into this falling wedge. Or the positive about it can be the following. That's why you need to watch this chart carefully. We can either maybe see a technical goodbye test so that the share of the instrument came back, it tested the support line, and it bounces off here and it makes a beautiful high again, or it's going to remain below this 50-day moving average, move back in this wedge, and then of course what you can do is you can just extend this line, because what you can maybe see then is you can actually head down all the way to this level. So for me, it's quite important. We need to stay above $904. We need to get above the 50-day moving average. That's 908.73. And definitely to show and give us a confirmation that we've got a higher low in place, we need to get above this little candle, and the high of that is $941. So we need a turnaround here. We need a consolidation above the support line. We need to break above this resistance line. Then you've got a low, a higher low, another higher low, another higher low, and even here maybe you've got then a double bottom, and that will be positive. But that will only be confirmed above 941. Let's look at the gold price, because the gold price rallied unbelievably well, and some gold shares are doing well as well. But what I'm looking at here, I'm a little bit nervous on the gold price. Remember, when the news came about the Israel and Hamas story, everybody ran into gold for a safe haven. Everybody was nervous on the market, and we saw this beautiful rally. But now we're starting to see like a topping pad formation here. And what I don't like is, look at this candle, upper shadow there. There's another upper shadow. There's another upper shadow telling you that there's some guys selling the moment it's getting close to 2000. And I want to give you two lines. That's the one important one. I'll give you the level now. And this is the next one. There you are. There you are. So the first warning signal will be below the low of that candle. That is 1969. And if it gets below this candle, you can bet yourself $1 that the market will probably push lower onto the gold price, and that level is 1953. So below 1953, we will probably have a toppish pattern in place. We'll have a rounding top here after this lamp pole formation. That's usually dangerous, because a lamp pole formation can usually give you a waterfall formation. Look what happened here. Waterfall formation, lamp pole formation, maybe a waterfall formation again. And if we get below this line, and there you are, 1923, that's the 50-day moving average, things can really turn to be ugly. But on the other hand, I want to show you Barrack Gold, because someone said to me, Frans, but I like Barrack Gold. And I said, but there's nothing wrong to like a share. And the moment I saw this chart and I saw what I'm looking at, it tells me that although the gold price is maybe under pressure, Barrack Gold is starting to show some very interesting formation here. Let's just have a look here. There you are. Look what I see here. I see a left shoulder. I see a head. I see a right shoulder forming. It touched the 50-day moving average. That is positive. So for me, even if the gold price are a little bit shaky, above $16.84, it will trigger a buy for me. Then it can maybe head all the way, because our time is out, 70.93. And maybe let's go for this last one. I'm just going to do the projection straight away. And there you are. You can maybe take the share all the way up to 19. But where's my stop loss? My stop loss is at 1580. Look at that beautiful spikes in volume. Tell you that there's people buying. The stochastic maybe wants to go. But the big thing is it must remain or stay above that neckline to give me some positivity for some upward momentum. But stick to your stop loss as always. But it looks like there's the left shoulder. There's the head. There's the right shoulder forming. This looks like a positive chart to me. Thank you for watching the show. As always, visit our website www.fransdeklerk.com for more info, and we will chat. God bless.